On Toliver Yeat, Rendezvous. Let's talk about it. How y'all doing? Welcome to Let's Talk About Music Reviews Season 12. How y'all doing? Welcome to the show. Today we got a pretty good episode for you. Today we got Don Toliver once again. This man's dropped his new album, Octane. Now, Octane came out, and this album, I've tried to check it out. I don't think it's going to be one of those albums that's for me, just because Don Toliver's vocals just aren't the best. Now, I will be real with y'all, I didn't really enjoy the last review that I did with Don Toliver. That's just because I chose probably a very boring song. And you might say, keep your expectations low. You know, maybe lower the expectations of an album. I'm never fucking doing that. You know, as I do this show, guys, my expectations only rise. You know, when I hear a good album that comes out, when I hear a good rap song that comes out, you know, I'm expecting the next fucking rapper or the next fucking, you know, guy who makes fucking trap music or whatever, you know, to drop a good-ass album. And so far, I will say, you know, Don Toliver is definitely one of those people who can have that good-ass quality. Today we got Don Toliver Yeat. This song's called Rendezvous. There's a Lyrical Lemonade video made for this, so I said, you know what, we might as well cover this song right now. So let's just get into it, starting off with the fucking beat. Now, I didn't like Rosary's beat because Rosary's beat was so basic to listen to. That basic-ass guitar, those basic-ass drums, those basic-ass 808s that were just making my fucking eyes roll every time I was listening to this stupid-ass fucking song. This, though, this is what I want when I want, you know, a good-ass trap beat. You know, this trap beat actually has a lot to it. You know, I really like those drums. I like how it sounds on here. I like how they're more pronounced. You know, they actually feel like fucking drums. You know, they don't feel like I just went on fucking AI and looked up a little drum loop to call it a goddamn day. And I really like the dark synthy bass on here. I think that's one of the main key points of what I really enjoy. You know, when you could really bring those kind of dark atmospheric sounds and actually, you know, make them, actually wield them to your use, actually, you know, make them sound fucking, you know, really good to listen to, I'm going to have a really great time. And I think that nice ass bassy, you know, kind of synth goes fucking crazy. And then one of the things that I like about this song is that I love how the piano actually sounds like some shit that I would hear if I ever went to, like, you know, a piano's like if I went to, like, some, like, mansion that kind of remind me of, like, Dracula or, like, those old-ass horror films. The way the piano is kind of sounds a little bit like an organ, and I love how that sounds on here. The way the fucking piano just kind of goes off on its own, has its own fucking sound to it, really doing its goddamn thing, really sounds good on these 808s and these drums. That overall combination is overall really fire to me, so I really enjoyed that. So all the different elements in the instrumental are definitely a win for me. Now, I really like this instrumental. I think this beat really comes together nicely, but let's move on now and let's talk about Yeat. Yeat's in the beginning. Yeat's actually the main hook on here. I think Yeat and Don Toliver kind of take turns on the hook, which I do like. I like it when artists kind of take turns on songs, you know, it makes it feel like a more of a collaboration. It really feels like the two artists are really, you know, featuring well together. And I saw something about Yeat on this song saying, all right, you know, this is what Yeat, when he uses autotune, and this is what Don Toliver, you know, sounds like when he uses autotune. And, you know, they were trying to compare that, you know, you can tell who's more experienced using autotune. Now, I will be real with you. You know, Yeat's older music, I will fully say the autotune was definitely not on par. You know, I think Yeat has, you know, way more, you know, kind of years to improve his sound, you know, the way he sounds with his vocals. You know, if you go back to a lot of his older music, you can definitely hear, you know, that older vocal style, which doesn't really sound that good in the big 2026. I'm going to be real with y'all, though. I think Yeat actually has really improved his vocals going from that newest album that he had in 2024. Maybe it was 2025. It was around that time, and he dropped that new album. I will say Yeat's vocals have greatly improved. And on this song, I'd say the autotune is actually pretty good. There is a moment where, you know, it's kind of that kind of ear-scratching autotune where it's, like, a little bit too much, you know, when it's like, holy shit, you sound like a fucking robotic fucking alien coming down from space. But other than that, you know, I really do enjoy what Yeat does on here. I like the flow. I like how the vocals get stuck in your head. I do like the ad-libs in the background. Those ad-libs really just help out and bring out the vibe. So I overall really enjoy that. Now let's move on from Yeat. Let's talk about Don Toliver. Now, Don Toliver, I'd say his vocals on here are actually really good. I think the singing actually sounds really nice. I like the vocal style here. I like how he holds out his notes too. And I like the slight vocal switch ups that happen throughout this whole entire song. So Don Toliver overall sounds pretty fucking fire. He did his thing on here. I like the back and forth with him and Yeat. And then also Don Toliver has a little bit of a verse on his own. And I do like that flow. I like how he's coming on here. And, you know, all the different elements of Don Toliver can switch up his vocals. You know, can add a flow switch, can add some nice background vocals that really go fucking crazy. You know, I think Don Toliver overall had a really nice verse, really nice vocals. You know, nothing bad on that department. And also Yeat coming together and, you know, kind of evening that out with a really nice addicting hook to really finish things off. So, nothing to really complain about Don Toliver. Overall, when we talk about this song, when we talk about, you know, Don Toliver and Yeat coming together to make a song called Rendezvous, you know, I like this beat. I think this beat's a lot better than whatever that Travis Scott track was. I think that beat was so basic. I was just like, man, that shit sounds completely ass. This beat actually sounds really fucking nice. You know, Yeat did his thing on here. Don Toliver did his thing on here. So overall, I will easily give this track a nice 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10, guys. What y'all think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I don't know. Let me know. If you're on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, wherever you get your podcast at, make sure you follow, turn on notifications, guys. We're dropping new content every single day. And thank y'all so much for listening to this podcast episode. It means a lot to me. You know, we're going crazy with the numbers on season 12. And I'll say you have a good one. And also, I will say, we are not doing a Don Toliver album review. I really don't want to. We're going to wait till J. Cole. My next album review is going to be the big old J. Cole on February 6th. So make sure y'all stick around for that. That's coming up very quick. And I'll see y'all later. Have a good one. Yeah, guys. Bye.